the Academy of Interactive Arts Sciences, AIAS, and the Entertainment, Software Association, ASA, announced that the annual Into Pixel video game art exhibit is now accepting submissions for its 16th collection. As explained in a press release, the 2019 Into the Pixel collection will premiere at this year's E3, taking place in Los Angeles from June 11th to the 13th. Video game artists and developers interested in submitting their in-game art concept art, including character, environmental landscape or other artwork used in the creation of games, for consideration can do so here until Monday, April 29th.
2019
Jurists for the collection include industry veterans, Nora Dolan, Independent, Matt Hall, Zynga Rising Tide Games, Patricia Lanza, Independent, Jane Elf, Glenn Phillips, Getty Institute, Bob Rafei, Big Red Button Entertainment, and Seth Spaudling, Blizzard Entertainment. It's worth noting that selected works chosen to be included in the collection will be auctioned off on the beta week of E3, with proceeds benefiting the AIAS Foundation. And as a foundation, the 3DS is entering the 8th year of its lifespan, and seems to be leaving the shadow of Nintendo's partially portable Switch more often than not. Despite this, Nintendo still insists there is demand for its family of 3D handhelds, even though unit sales have fallen in the system's twilight years. Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa responded to a question on the company's plans for both systems in a recent investor Q&A, saying that, in short, the 3DS still has appeal with younger and often first-time players. That is why our basic policy is to proceed with both Nintendo Switch and Nintendo 3DS in our dedicated video game platform business, said Furukawa. During its most recent financial report, Nintendo dropped its full-year 3DS hardware forecast from 4 million units to 6 million units with 3 months to go in the 2018-19 fiscal year. Year-over-year, Nintendo 3DS hardware sales fell 65% to 3 million units. Software sales saw a similar decrease, falling 65% year-over-year to 11.08 million. Furukawa acknowledges that the 3DS market has contracted faster than we anticipated, but says that the 3DS have still appealed to its small size and low price point, which currently falls between $80 and $200, depending on the model being purchased. He says this makes the 3DS a common choice for parents looking to purchase a video game system for their young children, a market Nintendo has mentioned many times before when questions about the viability of the 3DS in the age of the Switch have crept up. That same question also briefly asks about a no Switch model that is rumored to release this year at a lower price point, though Furukawa does not directly comment on that. Instead, he says the company's future plans for the Switch revolve around increasing demand for the system until the point that players decide that one system per household is not enough. This comes after Nintendo slightly lowered its full-year Switch sales expectations from 20 million units to 17 million. While the system has been selling well, Nintendo leadership believes that a failure to properly convey the appeal of the Switch led to that lowered forecast. The most important thing I wanted to capture with the game was an unsettling feeling of things being off, says Micah McGonigal, developer of edutainment horror mixture, Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning. I did not want to go flat out horror. I just wanted to create a mishmash of different things that do not quite meld together right. but also do not seem ridiculously over the top and crazy. Baldi's Basics begins innocuously enough, tasking players with finding notebooks and solving trivia questions within a crude, explorable 3D world. As players fill questions and wonder, though, the sense of unease permeates events and meetings. One created by the visuals being purposely made to look a little bit off, not unlike many past educational games the developer has seen played. McGonigal draws upon accidentally unsettling visual elements of old educational games to create a disturbing world in Baldi's Basics, and in doing so creates unease from a general sense of something being wrong, and not so much from a frightening creature stalking the player. The game's Baldi antagonist is far from terrifying, but through the game's visual design, McGonigal harnesses unease to make the player feel dread, even if they cannot pinpoint a reason why they feel that fear. By making things look off, he can create fear before the player even knows what they should be scared of. By moving away from monsters and dark holes, and into places that simply do not feel right, the developer can also open up horror to people who might not find it tolerable, opening the genre up to new audiences. The main inspiration for Baldi's Basics is pretty much Sonic's Schoolhouse. I never played it growing up, but when I first saw it, I was immediately creeped out by it, and that was pretty much where the idea came from, says McGonigal. Baldi's Basics does not immediately strike fear into the player's heart. There's nothing especially frightening about the Schoolhouse, the man who wants to help you with your audition. Similarly, most of the educational games that inspired the game are not exactly terrifying along their own, either, but through small visual elements that conflict with one another, they create a discomfort in the player. The eponymous of Baldi's Basics. This particular unease was created through McGonigal's experience and research into educational games and the many accidentally frightening elements within them. I do not believe there's any one game that scared me when I was little, but I do know there were plenty of different things in different games that gave me the creeps, says McGonigal. One thing that was common in a lot of edutainment games that always creeped me out was the sort of uncanny CG graphics they would use. It was pretty cheap looking, but not mock-up looking. The characters on the animated stuff were also often 2D, which made the CG stuff look even more out of place. Mixing two visual styles was one way that some of these past educational games would accidentally create unease, mainly done through these conflicting, inconsistent art styles. By not sticking to any one particular look, it would dredge up this sense that something was wrong, even if it may only be the fact that the art style do not look right together at all. A shot of BAP Interactive's 1996 Sonic as Schoolhouse. A good example would be Reading Blaster Chamber. Most of the scenery was CG, and I specifically remember this one game, where you could collect these toys, and they always gave me the creeps. Hold on, now, I gotta go look it up. Oh great, that's gonna haunt my dreams for a bit I think, he continues. Beyond the conflict between the two art styles, there is a crudeness to the visuals of the toys in Reading Blaster Chamber. In one mini-game, there are animals and objects within the scene that are in 3D, with this contrasted against the animated characters, who also appear. The 2D animated characters move and shift their eyes, but the 3D animated ones stand utterly still, eyes moving and unblinking. The juxtaposition of the two styles, however accidental, makes the 3D characters feel unnerving in their stillness. Reading Blaster Chamber released in 1995. I also remember one time at the library, there was a Reader Rabbit game on one of the computers, and Reader Rabbit was just standing there, his normal to-do self, when the Itsy Bitsy Spider started playing something.